Rewriting your destiny, the power of defying your starting point. What if I told you that the zip code you were born in, the family you came from, or the obstacles you faced aren't actually the determining factors of your life? Would you believe me? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Dr. Kina Phillips, a woman whose journey doesn't just inspire, it fundamentally challenges everything we think we know about human potential. From growing up in the projects to earning her doctorate in nursing and becoming a homeowner, Dr. Phillips has shattered every statistical expectation placed on her. She stands as living proof of a truth that society often tries to hide from us. Your starting point does not determine your destination. Think about that for a moment. Really let it sink in. The coordinates of your birth, the circumstances of your childhood, the barriers placed before you, none of these things have the final say in your story. None of them. What makes Dr. Phillips' story so revolutionary isn't just what she accomplished, but how she fundamentally rejected the narrative that had been written for her. In a world that constantly tells us to be realistic about our dreams, especially if we come from marginalized communities, she dared to imagine something different. And in doing so, she didn't just change her own life, she created a blueprint for transformation that speaks directly to anyone who has been told, explicitly or implicitly, that certain dreams aren't for them. Let me share something that might shock you. According to research on economic mobility, a child born in the bottom quintile of income distribution has less than a 10% chance of reaching the top quintile in their lifetime. The system, by design, expects people to stay where they started. But Dr. Kina Phillips looked at those odds and said, watch me. This isn't just about individual achievement. This is about dismantling a fundamental lie that keeps communities trapped in cycles of limitation. The lie that says your circumstances define your potential. Consider Tiffany Vinay, a Baltimore native who founded Madison Street Build and Design Group. The construction industry she entered has only 6.5% African American workers and just 11.2% women. Everything in that environment, the statistics, the industry culture, the lack of representation, told her she didn't belong there. But Tiffany, like Kina, refused to accept that narrative. She didn't ask for permission to enter. She didn't wait for the industry to become more welcoming. Instead, she leveraged her project management experience, actively sought mentorship, and strategically used social media to build her business. Today, Madison Street Build and Design Group offers both commercial and residential services, thriving far beyond initial expectations. What's remarkable isn't just that Tiffany succeeded, it's that she succeeded in a space that wasn't designed for her. She transformed her relationship with limitation itself. This brings me to the second profound insight from my conversation with Dr. Phillips. Self love and personal growth are essential for lasting success, not optional, essential. We live in a culture obsessed with external markers of achievement, degrees, job titles, income levels, social media followers. But Kina's journey reveals something far more fundamental. Her transformation wasn't just about acquiring credentials or assets, it was about healing from past wounds, investing deeply in her education, and learning to love herself authentically. This isn't soft, feel good advice. This is strategic. This is revolutionary. Because here's what happens when you build success without building self love: you create achievements that you don't believe you deserve, you construct a life you don't feel worthy of living, you develop what psychologists call imposter syndrome. But what is really the natural consequence of achievement without inner transformation? Leslie Frello's story illustrates this beautifully. Leslie left her traditional job to launch the Wine Concierge, an e commerce platform featuring wines from women and minority makers. During the pandemic, a time when many businesses were shuttering their doors. She made the leap from side hustle to full time entrepreneurship. What drove her wasn't just market opportunity, it was a deep desire for social impact and personal fulfillment. She utilized a COVID relief loan, built a network of boutique vineyards, and created wine clubs and events to foster community. Today, the Wine Concierge supports small Black businesses and provides exposure for underrepresented winemakers. Leslie's success wasn't just about business strategy, it was about aligning her work with her values, creating something that reflected her authentic self. This is what happens when personal growth drives professional achievement. You don't just build a business, you build a legacy that embodies who you truly are. But let's be honest, this path isn't easy. It never has been. Which brings me to the third critical insight from Dr. Phillips. Persistence in the face of adversity is a superpower. Despite personal loss, single parenthood, and systemic challenges, Kina's refusal to give up became her defining characteristic. She understood something that many miss. Growth doesn't come from avoiding obstacles, it comes from pushing through them. We live in a culture that often glorifies overnight success, that celebrates the highlight reel while ignoring the years of struggle, failure, and persistence that preceded it. But real transformation, the kind that rewrites destinies, doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent, determined action in the face of resistance. The Sister Biz Gold Digger Business Planning Retreat exemplifies this principle in action. This immersive event for Black women solopreneurs and micro business owners focuses on strategic planning and actionable goal setting. Many attendees face isolation, lack of mentorship, and limited access to business resources, barriers that could easily become excuses for abandoning their entrepreneurial dreams. But instead, these women gather to workshop their visions, develop concrete business plans, and build networks with peers and mentors. They leave with clear action plans and renewed motivation, often achieving measurable business growth and expanded networks as a result. Now, celebrating its 10th annual event, the retreat has empowered hundreds of Black women to achieve significant business milestones. It's a testament to what happens when persistence becomes collective, when the refusal to give up transforms from an individual trait into a community value. So, what would happen if more people embraced Dr. Kina Phillips' perspective? If more of us truly believed that where you start doesn't define where you finish? The ripple effects would be transformative. We would see a significant increase in resilience, innovation, and representation across industries. Communities would witness more people pursuing education, starting businesses, and overcoming generational barriers. The economic and social landscape would fundamentally shift. But this isn't just about systemic change, it's about you right now, in this moment. What story have you been telling yourself about what's possible? What limitations have you accepted as truth simply because they've always been there? What dreams have you downsized to fit within the boundaries of what seemed realistic based on where you started? Dr. Phillips' journey challenges us to question these assumptions, to recognize that the greatest barriers to our transformation often aren't external circumstances, but internal beliefs about what those circumstances mean about us and what's possible for our lives. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying real structural challenges. It's about refusing to grant those challenges the power to define your destiny. It's about recognizing that while you may not control your starting point, you have more agency over your destination than you've been led to believe. So I stand here today, not just to share these stories, but to issue a challenge. Defy your starting point. Reject the limitations that have been placed on you. Embrace the audacity to believe that your life can defy every statistic, every expectation, every boundary that society has tried to impose. Starting today, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, take one deliberate action that moves you toward the future you want, not the one others have prescribed for you. Reach out for mentorship, enroll in that course, submit that application, make that call, take that first step toward the business you've dreamed of building. Because here's the truth that Dr. Kina Phillips and countless others have proven: transformation isn't just possible, it's your birthright. The coordinates of your birth are just data points on a map. They tell you where you started, not where you're capable of going. Your circumstances do not dictate your potential. Your past does not determine your future. Your starting point is not your destiny. The question isn't whether transformation is possible. The question is, will you have the courage to rewrite your story? Because the pen is in your hand. And the next chapter begins now. What will you write?